Indian economy has performed very well since our government took over in May 2014. India achieved an average growth of 7.5% in the first 3 years of our government. Indian economy is now a $2.5 trillion economy, seventh largest in the world. India is expected to become the fifth largest economy very soon.
So what do you think about the budget?
Well, I think this budget is completely an election-savvy budget. I feel that many steps have been taken in there, but what I feel is at the end of the day, when you're presenting a budget and you are saying that I am presenting the budget based on the strengthening of the rural and the agricultural sector and thereby strengthening the financial institutions, you're actually leaving the middle class out, who were the one to bring you in power. So at this point of time, they are completely aiming at the rural and the agricultural sector and taking them each step forward for the 2019 elections. So yes, what I think is that it's an election-savvy budget with the promises made, and I have serious doubt about the promises made, and I think there are certain flaws when it comes to the implementation, and I think they won't be implemented correctly, and if they are, then it is a good budget with a good prospect, but then the implementation details and the blueprint of the source of all these funds are not really provided. So I have a doubt about this project as a whole.
So do you think there are some benefits to this budget?
Benefits as a whole, I can say that nice steps have been taken. I mean, I'm not really very sure about how they are going to be implemented, as I said earlier. But I think the initiatives and the gesture that have been taken is good. Say the healthcare sector. I'll come one by another. I think the healthcare sector is one where they have taken a huge step. Like the National Healthcare Scheme, which has actually given them the initiative where 50 crore beneficiaries from approximately 10 crore families, poor families in this country, are going to be provided with 5 lakh healthcare insurance per year per family, which is a nice step being taken. And I haven't seen any healthcare bill as such, in the recent years, even in UPA 1, UPA 2, but they have really taken it too far, and I hope it is implemented because this is what this country needs, a permanent health insurance for each poor family. Next, when I see there is the agricultural sector, where obviously they are aiming the agricultural sector, right? So they would be completely on it, and they have provided something for the agricultural sector too. They have said that the farmer's income would be doubled by 2022, and at the same time the minimum sales price of the farm products would be taken to 1.5x from the current 1x, and in the course of 4 years. So yes, they are really aiming for the 2019 elections, and I think they will implement it because they need the votes, and the farmers are really their vote bank. And when I come to the next part, which is the education sector, they have promised that they are going to completely implement about 1 lakh crore of money into the education sector, and a considerable amount of fund into the teacher training project, which is their new project that they've been taken up. Again, when it comes to this particular money, I don't know the source of this funding, but they have made these promises, keeping the elections in mind. The next thing that I would say is about the whole thing, or the whole propaganda of controlling pollution when it comes to Delhi. The Delhi pollutions, if I say, have reached a massive hike, and to control this at this point of time is really needed. Now they have said that they are categorically going to bring a budget in which they are going to fund 2 state government, Haryana and Punjab, at the same time 2 union territories, Chandigarh and Delhi, by providing them with nice equipments and at the same time with relative machinery, which would be actually able to get them a kind of an agricultural benefit where they don't have to cut the crops based on burning, and thereby reducing pollution, because we know these crop burning techniques that are there during the harvest are really the things that need to be controlled, because they are the things that lead to pollution in Delhi much more than anything else. And obviously the vehicles are there, which the step have been taken, but no step has been taken so far. The last thing that they mentioned, which I have serious doubts about implementation, is housing for all about in 2022. But as I said, all these schemes that are being provided are pros of this budget. I would agree. A nice step, a nice initiative that has been taken about this budget, but there is no certain blueprint or no certain infrastructure being provided so that this bill could be implemented properly. I feel that this bill needs a lot of mending, the budget source and from where the money has to be taken, and I feel that things really have to change, and they have to change for good, and they have to make whole procedure very transparent to be this budget to be called a grand success. For now, I can say these are the pros, and I feel these pros are working quite well for them, because everywhere in the media they're appreciating their budget. So yes, so far so fine.
So what else is there to it besides the pros?
Let me start with the neutrals. I believe something that was a big shocker for me in this budget was the increment in the salaries of the MPs and the vice president and the president and the prime minister himself and the governors too. Now, what I found is that they have incremented the salaries of the MPs to about 200% of their original salaries. Now, what they have said is that this salary is again incrementable with the increase in the inflation of this country. Now, this is a big thing, a big move that has been taken for the MPs. The next thing is that they have increased the salaries of the president about 400%, with now his salary being 5 lakh. And absolutely, this is a big increase, and the whole sum of this money goes into the bank account of the president itself. Because I believe that nothing that they are doing right now or they are paying for is not a government fund. Because I think all the amenities and all the facilities that a president in a country faces is something which is being provided by the central government itself. The next thing that I have learned is that they have also increased the salaries of all the vice president and the governors from now on to about 300 to 400% of their original salaries earlier. So now what I found is that they are in a mood of taking a full swing from a stand that they actually took about 1 year back when Arvind Kejriwal categorically asked them that they need to do something for the MLAs having a salary of about 20,000, and they demanded a hike of about 40% or more than 100% for their MLAs itself. So what it gives me at this point of time is that they are not aware of the consequences of such a low salary, and they did not agree for increasing the salary, even the president himself, for the MLAs of Delhi. And now in this budget, they are actually implementing the same thing that was proposed by a chief minister of the union territory and at the same time the capital of the country about 1 year back. So the ideas from everywhere, they're taking it and they're implementing it. I think I can see a good side to it too. What I would say, because I should not only focus on the negatives, I think that increasing the salary of the MPs would actually reduce the corruption from the top level. Well, I'm not very sure about the grassroots level till now, but from the top level it would help in reducing corruption. But at the same time, as they say, the more you get, the more you want. So I don't really know. The next thing that I face here is that some people say at this point of time that they have implemented the long-term capital tax budget, which was actually said by Arun Jaitley 1 year back that he would never implement in India. Now consider the situation of a middle class family where he invests all his salary, which is a taxed salary, into a mutual fund or a stock market, and the rule says that if the investment is for more than 1 year and the profit is more than 1 lakh, then 10% of it would be charged as tax and to be paid to the government. So at this point of time, I'm not really sure about what is going on or what is happening in this country. What I think is that this is not done for the middle class, and the middle class would really suffer a lot, and I think they are really agitated too. The next thing that I feel is completely a shocker for me is when they said that for a company whose turnover is less than 200 crore would be given a tax exemption, like in the form of the taxation from about 30% to 25% right now. Now, if you are reducing a tax from a particular taxpayer, you are actually inducing or you are actually making some other ways to take that money back from the other general public, which again targets the middle class. So I think some people would argue that they are actually promoting the small and middle class businesses at this point of time. But I would say that this is again a budget to impress the business-minded people and increase their funding. I might be too far-stretched, but at this point of time, it seems that the middle class is really in a loss. The targeted audience which they targeted when they had to come to power, and right now the middle class is nowhere. They are saying that they want to target or they want to strengthen the poor, but at the same time they are strengthening the rich too and implementing Startup India, where I don't think Startup India going anywhere.
And the cons?
I think I've spoken a lot about the cons by now, but still, if I could point out about the real cons at this moment, I would say that this project is, as I said, is a pro-rural and a pro-agricultural budget if it is at all implemented, and the middle class is the one who's suffering. I think Arun Jaitley in his re-election 2014, at the time when he lost the first election, said that he is going to do something substantial for the middle class, increasing the tax slab from about 2 lakhs to about 5 lakhs. But I don't see this happening anywhere, and he has been backing out from his promises, and this is probably his 5th budget as the finance minister of this country. Again, when I come to the middle class, I say another thing that I found very odd was that the custom duty being increased from 25% to 35%. Now, I have to say one thing about it. When you are saying the custom duty is being increased from 25% to about 30%, you are actually imposing a burden on the middle class in buying those Indian goods which you are saying is cheap. But cheapness is not the factor. We are not determining the quantity. We are mainly considering the quality in here. What I want to say is that Indian goods should be encouraged, and everything is quite fine. But what I think is that they should be encouraged at the cost of what? The quality that Indian goods have is far below the international goods. At the same time, if you're increasing the international goods, I don't think that you are providing a right platform for the middle class to buy the goods. And then, do you know that most of the, these companies in India, those who call themselves as Indian companies, have 60% of the shares which are owned by Chinese. So I don't see this particular thing going anywhere. This particular coat that I'm wearing right now belongs to Arrow, and I could buy it, or I could afford it, being from a family who's middle class, is because it is affordable to me. I won't go to a khadi shop and buy something up just because it is an Indian made good. So I think I made my point very clear at this point of time, and the government needs to understand that promoting India, make in India is good, but then implementing your views and then kind of being dominating in it is not right at this point of time. The next thing I would like to say is that when I come to this budget, I would say that there is a substantial amount of thing going on in this budget, which I would say is really bad, because they have not given me the blueprint. They are talking about the healthcare sector investing a lot of money, like 5 crore per family per year. Then you know the amount of money it is required. At this point of time, what I see is that the healthcare budget has been only increased, the income has been only increased by 2.87%. And the same thing is for education sector, which has been about 3.84%. Now, if you are increasing the amount of income for this particular budget and for these sources, now how do you even plan to implement these promises? Or are there going to be next steps being taken? I don't know, seriously, and even you haven't told me, or the audience. The public wants to know about all these things. And what I think is that this budget is a pro-election budget, as I said, is an election-savvy budget. I don't see Make in India working anywhere. I don't see Startup India making progress anywhere. I don't see Clean Your Ganga working anywhere, because I think that if you are having a success rate, and as some people say that they are having a substantial success, and 60 years of slavery and 60 years of corruption cannot go anywhere and cannot be treated in 4 and 5 years. I'm not saying you treat them in 4 and 5 years. What I'm saying is that if you're saying there is a 60 year of corruption, at least show me the progress rate, show me the blueprint of what you're doing, and show me that how much amount of Ganga is being cleaned. So I would say that steps or the promises that have been said, that I always said in my pros, are good. But I have a serious doubt about the implementation. And I have a serious doubt whether Mr. Arun Jaitley, who forgot his earlier promises, would be able to keep these promises. I have trust in this particular community of politicians in this country. I trust them to do something good, because their initiatives are good, their ideas are good. But I don't really trust them to completely implement this budget, because past has told me many stories, and I have been cautious from now. So I think the voter who goes out to vote will be keeping all these things in their mind, and they would be completely aware about all these things before voting. So I hope that Mr. Jaitley and his team implement this budget really soon, and I wish this government a success. Their promises seem to be really promising. Thank you.